Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today, welcome to this video. Today's video is going to be my top 10 for the lovely country of Jordan. So number one is, where is it? Well, Jordan is a country situated in the Middle East. It borders onto 4 other countries: Syria to the north, Iraq to the east, to the south is Saudi Arabia, and to the west is Israel. Though Jordan itself isn't actually a landlocked country, it has a small coastline on the south. This is the Red Sea, which it shares with Saudi Arabia as well as Israel. As well as that, in the middle of Jordan, to the west, that borders on with Israel, is the beautiful Dead Sea. Tip number 2 is going to be safety. So Jordan is a relatively safe country. I spent 7 days there and didn't feel unsafe at all. There is police available at almost all major tourist attractions, and police cars relatively are accessible. They drive around quite often, and especially in Amman, the capital, there are a lot of police cars, as well as a lot of the monuments have police holding big guns and that. So I didn't feel unsafe, in Jordan at all. For your health, you cannot actually drink the water in Jordan. This is actually unsafe, as it is very polluted, and the country itself is relatively quite dirty in many places. You'll see rubbish all over the streets and that in Jordan. Number 3, guys, is going to be entry and exit into Jordan. So for most people, you actually require a visa to enter Jordan. Now, I would highly recommend getting something called the Jordan Pass. This is a website, you go on the website, set up by the Jordanian government, and the pass includes all attractions in the country. So the passes range from 1 day to 3 days visit to Petra, and then you get 2 weeks use out of the pass for the rest of the destinations. So what I mean by that is, you buy the pass, it includes your visa fee waived, you get 3 days is the maximum, this is called the Explorer, to visit Jordan, and then you get 2 weeks from activation to use the pass to visit all the other attractions. The government claims that this pass can save you over $200 US, and I really believe this. If you put into context, the Jordan Explorer Pass costs 80 JD. This waivers your visa fee, which usually costs 40 JD, and you have to spend a minimum of 3 days or 3 nights in the country. Now, if you're going to buy the Explorer package, you are going to spend 3 days in Petra, therefore you will spend a minimum of 3 nights in Jordan. So it waivers your visa fees, which are usually $40, as well as that it waivers the fees of visiting Petra. Well, I mean, you pay for Petra, but it's definitely a lot cheaper than if you did the two separately. All you have to do when you arrive in Jordan is you show them the Jordan Pass, and they stamp your passport. When you exit, the system automatically calculates whether you have spent a minimum of 3 days there. Now, pro tip, I would definitely go for the Jordan Pass for 3 days. Check out my Petra video for more information about the lovely site of Petra. So, tip number 4 is going to be the currency. So, what is the currency? Well, the local currency of Jordan is the Jordan dinar. 1 Jordan dinar is equal to 2 Australian dollars, or $1.50 US. Now, anything below 1 JD is called a pastur, which in our countries is usually called cents. So it is not uncommon for people to say, oh, that'll be 55 pasturs. This means it'll be 55 cents. And a lot of the time when you go to smaller shops, you will see 55 written all over. And don't be afraid, it's not 55 JD, it is rather 55 cents. Now, here's a bit of a pro tip for you. When you're shopping out at supermarkets and that, take note of what you pay for your products. Usually you'll pay 1 JD for a Coke, and you'll come back the next day and it'll be 150. I bought myself 2 packets of chips, a chocolate and a Coke for 2 JD. The next day the guy said it was 4 JD. So I called him out on his bluff, and he happily gave it to me for a cheaper price. So keep this in mind when you are out and about. Restaurants are usually okay, as the menus have the price, but when you are out at the supermarkets or the little convenience stores, prices are far and wide in between. So, tip number 5, for all you young ones, when you land in Jordan, it is very common for us to all want a SIM card, as we want to keep in touch with data, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. SIM cards are actually very accessible at the airports, and they have a variety of carriers. I myself didn't buy a SIM card because Orange in Europe is actually available in Jordan, and you don't pay any extra fees, so your data is exactly the same. But they have a variety of SIM card providers, and they are very accessible at the airport. I would highly recommend getting them. I spoke to someone who told me they had paid 30 JD for a SIM card for 30 days, and it gave them over 15 gigabytes of data. So fear not, you can definitely stay connected. And while I was exploring the country, I was out in the desert right through to the mainland. Coverage was very, very available on all the major networks. Tip number 6, guys, is going to be what to do in Jordan and what to see. So, for those of you who don't know, Jordan is a very, very culturally diverse country. It has people from all over the Middle East. It has Palestinians, it has Jordanians, it has Syrians, it has Iraqians. There is a lot to see and do in Petra. Main attractions are the Roman theatre in Amman. This is an old ancient Roman theatre. It is quite well preserved and it is still used today by the locals. The big tourist attraction for Jordan would have to be the beautiful Petra. So Petra is a village that was carved into the rocks some 4,000 years ago. It is in quite a lot of movies. It was recently in Transformers, and it has also been featured in the very famous Indiana Jones and the Lost or the Holy Grail. It is truly spectacular. I would definitely recommend it. Don't forget to check out my video on Petra to find out a bit more information about it. And as I said before, Petra is included in your lovely Jordan Pass. There is also the beautiful Wadi Rum to see. Wadi Rum is a desert to the south of Petra. It is astonishingly beautiful. It looks like the Grand Canyon of the Middle East, or so I was told on my tour, and it definitely does not disappoint. There is also the tax-free haven city of Aqaba. This is the city that is famous amongst the tourists, or essentially not your backpackers, your hotel goers, as this is where Jordan's only beach line is and the beautiful Red Sea. Aqaba is amazing for diving. If you're interested in diving or just going and tanning, it is also beautiful. Another wonderful place to check out in Jordan is the very, very famous Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is famously known for being very salty, and this helps you float without problems. There have been people reading and just floating in this Dead Sea, though I would advise, pro tip, if you're going to go visit the Dead Sea, make sure you head to the free part. This is further along the beach past all the hotels, as you have to pay for all of these. So do your research before and look up where you can find the free part of the Dead Sea. Okay guys, so tip number 7 is going to be transport. The most important. So I've told you all these lovely places to visit. Now you want to know how to get there. So transport in Jordan there isn't a lot of public transport, so a lot of places aren't easily accessible in that way. There is, however, a lovely company by the name of JetBus, and JetBus operates between all the major attractions, from Amman to Petra, Amman to the Dead Sea, Amman to Aqaba, and Amman to Wadi Rum. And there's usually buses in between those destinations. A bit of a pro tip for you though is I would book the jet buses well and truly in advance. I arrived there and assumed that I could hop on a jet bus the next day to get to Petra, and it turned out to be sold out. So definitely 2 to 3 days in advance. As well as that, they don't run all day. They only have 1 or 2 buses. Usually it's 6 in the morning and at 4 in the afternoon. So you've got to somehow plan your days around that. However, I offer you another pro tip. If you are a bit of a ballsy traveler like myself, you can actually catch local buses. Now, I mean local buses in the sense that this is what the locals take, but they are not actually run by the government. If you ask your taxi driver in Amman to take you to the South bus station, you can hop on a local bus to any of these destinations. These run at all times of the day. However, I give you another tip here. These buses don't run unless the bus is full. So you make sure that sometimes you can get there and you can wait up to 2 hours until the bus fills up. The buses are, of course, cheaper than the touristy buses. A jet bus costs 10 to 15 JD. The local bus cost me 5 to 7. You are on this bus with local people, and you usually have to have your bag sitting on your lap, whereas the touristy bus is a big bus where you can put the bag under the bus. So you guys weigh up the options, but those are 2 of them. Tip number 8 is the people. What are the people of Jordan like? Well, I can tell you this, the people of Jordan are absolutely amazing. They are very friendly people. They constantly want to talk to you, ask you where you're from, whether you're enjoying their country, and what you think of the local attractions. Don't be afraid, local people will ask you to get pictures with them. As well as that, they are very, very hospitable. While I was there, every time you walked into a restaurant, you got given a cup of tea. Pro tip, you will be charged for this, but it doesn't stand the fact that they are still very, very lovely people. As well as that, when you're walking around the tourist attractions and that, it is not uncommon for them to invite you in to offer you a cup of tea. These ones usually you don't have to pay for, but it is nice to at least offer them some sort of money. Okay guys, so tip number 9 is going to be the weather. So Jordan is a relatively warm country as it is situated in the Middle East. I visited Jordan in April. The best times are between March and May as the temperature is not too hot. It is comfortably in the 20s to 30s. From about May through to September, temperature can go into its 30s and almost its high 40s towards the Dead Sea. Further on, September through to December, the weather is comfortable again, but it can get very cold in the evenings. When I was there now in April, the weather was actually quite nice and the evenings were relatively comfortable to walk around in a shirt and shorts and not be too cold but not be too hot. Now the last tip guys, tip number 10 is going to be my recommendations. So my recommendation for Jordan would be I would spend at least 6 to 10 days there. I spent 10 days in Jordan, 6 days in Jordan, and I'd wish I'd spent 10 as it definitely was not enough. I would do 2 to 3 days in Amman. I would visit some of the sites around there with your Jordan pass. From there I would head to Petra, or Wadi Musa is the town closest to Petra. So I would head there. I would do 3 days in Petra. As well as that, pro tip here, I wouldn't recommend Petra by night. I do discuss this more in my Petra video, but I'll touch on it here. I didn't pay for it, I snuck in, but if you do pay for it, it's not included in your Jordan pass, and if you're going to go, I would go early and try and get to Petra early, because once you go with all the crowds, you don't really get any good pictures and you don't get amazing videos. But I would do Petra for 3 days and I would explore in and around Wadi Musa. From there, I would definitely recommend paying for a caravan trip to Wadi Musa. The caravan trips include a night stay over in one of the camping towns in the Wadi Rum desert. As well as that, it includes a jeep ride through Wadi Rum back to your accommodation, and then you get breakfast, dinner and all of that included. I paid for one, it cost me 55 JD. I only did it for a day, but it was absolutely amazing. Got to stay in the middle of the desert, got a 3-hour jeep ride through Wadi Rum to all the beautiful tourist attractions, got a lovely traditional Jordanian dinner included, and then we got breakfast in the morning and we were taken back to the visitor center. So I'd recommend that as well. From there, I would recommend going to Aqaba. I did not stay in Aqaba, though Aqaba is absolutely phenomenal from what I did see. Apparently the diving is amazing, the Red Sea is beautiful, and there's quite a lot to do around there. As I said, it is a tax-free part of Jordan, so you can do some great shopping as well. I would then recommend from there heading over the border to Israel. From Aqaba, their border is the Eilat border. It is very, very close, and it is very easy to get into into Israel from there, as the lines are usually a lot shorter as everyone crosses into Israel at the top of Jordan to the north at the King Hussein border. So I definitely recommend the Eilat border. We spent a maximum of 15 minutes waiting and then we went to the beautiful Israel. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit like and subscribe and give me any more recommendations.